What is up, guys, and welcome to another episode of my HLTV Fantasy. Today we are looking at EPL Season 15 Group C. I guess I could show you how badly I'm doing so far in Group B. Of course, with both Vitality and Face going 1-2 at the start. It's not looking great. At least Brokey had a great performance against Sprout. And the Spinks pick is kind of paying off. He's not like the best player on ends to pick. I think that's probably like Hades or Diha. I would assume. Yeah, Hades and Diha. Actually, Diha not that insane, but Hades is really been popping off at this event. And he only cost like 190k, so yeah, he's probably gonna be a must-have. But it's like decent-ish, but not what you want, of course. Let's see if we can do better in Group C, which is probably the weakest of the groups, if I'm gonna be honest. Like, if you look at the groups, so Group A was supposed to be like a pretty decent group with some great teams and some not so great. But it ended up being quite a low level of CS where teams like G2 played a lot lower standard, to a lot lower of a standard than they usually do. NIP was really the only one who was playing good. Entropic, of course, also comes out fine, but like Fnatic and Mouse just didn't do as well as they. No, Fnatic was actually better than they should have been, and then Mouse really didn't do enough at this event. And actually, what that's probably led to is actually NBK getting kicked, which is very surprising to me. JDC coming in instead of him. The only thing I can kind of think of is maybe they are lining up a bid for JKS, and because in the announcement they kind of said something around the lines of at least for the, or he's at least right now he's gonna play for the RMR and the major, but I guess that leaves them some room to maybe do something else instead. But yeah, Group A is fine. Group B, so far, super competitive. Fury and Ents playing a lot higher of a level than maybe I would have expected. And FaZe being starting off a lot slower than I thought. Outsiders and Vitality also not doing too well. This is expected for Sprout. Group C, there's only really players or Gambit who are really good. Big is like okay. They haven't really impressed yet. Probably gonna make it out of this, and then Liquid get such an easy group that I don't know if they can mess this up. Like Godsend didn't even make it to the RMR. Movistar didn't make it to the RMR, although they're a European team, so it's harder for them to even make it. Maybe Movistar is still gonna do decent here. And then Party Astronauts, which is, I mean, they made it through the NARMR instead of Godsend, but still, it's just one of these NA teams that probably doesn't have what it takes at this level. So then Group D, we'll get back to when I make my Group D video. But okay, what this means for the fantasy is like Gambit has to be a pick. I don't know if Gambit or players don't do well at this event. I'm sorry, but that's like huge alarm bells because this level of competition is not one that they should lose to. The questions are like, who else should I pick? So like Big is one team probably should be looking at. But then like Liquid players, because they're 42nd in the world, like Naf and Elige, get these ratings for price. Especially Naf is still playing like to a high level. He's got, I mean, obviously, yeah, this is against a higher level of competition again than this group is generally. So like Naf and Elige are still putting up stats. They're still like the best players on Liquid. That's hard price to pass up. Nitro, the problem with these cheap guys and picking them here is that their stats, and due to that their price is kind of inflated due to this RMR qualifying event. They got a pretty big, like Nitro got a pretty big boost from that. I would have maybe gone like NAF Nitro, for example. But now it's really looking like a NAF Elige possibly. Unless I want to go double big. Double players is always going to happen. But I don't know, and it could be like almost all of these players as well. Well, pretty much all of the players make sense to me. Pick on players. There's also the option of going for like some Movistar guys, like San Payus. I wouldn't go Godsend after, I mean, they just brought in Henny instead of Phelps. Also, they just failed the RMR. You could go for Taco. But even his stats, like, yeah. I'm not feeling it. What about Tizian? Tizian had, this is the RMR qualifier again. Had some okay events now. Against kind of this level of opposition, so maybe we go Tizian. I want to see what I can do with like Naf Elish. Then I have to go double Gambit. I can go for this. This probably leaves 204. I can't even get anyone from big instead of except for Tizian because everyone's price is kind of higher. What if I go Tizian 17? Wait, is it? Well, this uses all my money. That looks pretty damn good to me. I mean, if Liquid have a good event, at least FLE is probably. Problem I have is this is probably pretty popular as a lineup, right? Damn, oh, here to see the most picked players. No, wait, wrong group, of course. Okay. Yeah, Elysian Naf are pretty picked. Searson also. Kind of surprising that Searson is picked this much. The problem is Searson usually doesn't do that well on LAN. Like, when did we have LAN? Let's go LAN. Like, he's had decent LAN performances now, but like not the highest of ratings. He's not like crushing like he is at times on online. Like, you could go, for example, for this as well if you want to go for double big, but I just like Naf so much more than I like Searson, I feel. There's no AWPer in this though. So let's see, it would be obviously support. Could be IGL. Honestly, it could be IGL Inters because we expect Gambit to go 5-0. Let's say IGL Inters, then we'll come back to you later. Support on Tizian or headshots. Then Elish probably multi-kill, Exile CT raiding, or Naf CT raiding, and Exile like that Hunter. Something along those lines. I like this lineup, but I'm gonna take a look at some others. Do I really want to go? This is so much stock to put into Liquid. That's the biggest issue I have with this lineup right now. Maybe just go Naf. Inters, Exile. Can I go? Problem is I can't go double big after this. Have to be basically Elish instead of Naf. I don't mind going Elish instead of Naf that much, but yeah, I mean Elish instead of Naf makes some sense as well. But I kind of want to have both. Makes so much sense because they are kind of fragging. What about OC? Probably not worth. Yeah. What about Shoxy? These are inflated stats due to this though. And it's tough. He's really not coming to his own yet, at least yet, on Liquid. I really have a hard time picking anyone but Naf Elish on Liquid. It also just makes so much sense to me, this lineup. Kind of look. Okay, so Sanpayus is maybe one player that I would not mind having in this lineup. Could be instead of like Naf, this Exile lineup maybe. Wait a second. Hobbit. So this is also an option, I think. You don't have to go 2-2-1 in these events. It's not like a must do. This might be actually the best lineup. Use stats. Oh, god damn it. Let's do this. Always whenever I want to check like the stats page, it's sometimes, I think it's because I kind of click it before it's turned around the card, which is annoying. The Senpai is not like the greatest events. Like, they definitely should win. Wait, so he got a 1.39 rating, but they still lost. This was also like one map sample. Playing stage that didn't have too great of a playing stage there. Maybe I just should still go for what I had earlier. What about Hobbit and Exile? Wait, what? Oh yeah, okay. Roll map sample size at least. Exile Bean, yeah, he was way better. Previous event at least. I just think that the previous lineup I had is just way too good on paper. Yeah, you can't even 7k 5. Yeah, you can't go like Nafani Hobbit either. I don't think there's a way in which I get Shiro unless I go for someone else instead of Elise or Naf. I just like this lineup. I think these players are gonna have good rating. Like TZN is the biggest question mark. I hope Liquid don't hit the bed here. It's a pretty picked lineup, it would seem. But I don't know. I think these prices are way too. These cards are way too cheap to not go for them. Yeah, we don't have main op. That makes it a bit more interesting. So you have to go IGL Inters. You have to go probably headshots on Tizian over support. Then probably NAF support. Like some of the other stuff. Multi, but Elise should be multi. Or entry. Wait, this might be better actually. Elise entry Fragger. Sure. So Exile gets CT and NAF gets multi Fragger. How high is... Oh, this becomes a bit difficult. So this is better. Fender is better on Exile. Fender is also better on NAF, but I think it's the difference is better or bigger there. Yeah, this should be the way it goes. There's nothing better for him. Like multi-fragger would be better on, yeah, but the different, yeah, okay. I guess the support, it's still 100% support. Maybe it's this and this instead. This is probably better. Yeah. Okay, I think this works. Even though there's a kind of a distinct lack of of an AWPer. Like Tizian has to be the best cheap player on this. Just a sec. Event overview. And by the way, there's a lot of other teams, so if you want to just check players, just go and make a new lineup in a different league. Like the best other cheap players I could think of, maybe Davi G, maybe Taco. Probably Davi G would be like the very cheap player I would go for. But I don't know, he doesn't really put up great stats either. Rarely does, at least. I don't have the highest expectations on Movistar. Just because of the RMR result, at least. Also look at this ranking, it's kind of going down bit by bit. They were freaking 14th in the world in October, and now they're outside the top 30 again. They just kind of haven't using twice to Rhino in the Blast Premier. No wait, they won. Yeah, they lost the offset once. Blast Premier qualifier, Endpoint, Spirit. These are good teams. They just don't really. I don't know if they have what it takes at the moment. They were decent at the major as well, but okay, this is what I want to go for. There's no headshot guys on Liquid. I don't think so. We can go aimbot Tizian here. Has to be the that this is like the easy matchup, like the easiest matchup at least should be. KST. Enough is our KST guy. Okay. The Elise top scorecard. This is also like they get all the top scorecard stuff. At least if they win. Even more than Axel, they're kind of doing all of this stuff. But it's still because like Gambit is so much, or players is so much better than Liquid. So they might have better chance of doing these things still. This is not for now, but for later. And like the problem with top of scorecard with Gambit is, of course, that Hobbit and Shiro are also there. So it's always a bit of a, like it could be any of those three. I think Avenger makes sense here. How does he have so many Avenger? Like, it's just goes to show how high it just doesn't make sense to go for this here. But how many of the kills Naf and Elise get just because like he's entering a lot, but he's also getting all the Avenging kills. I'd rather go Avenger Naf, I feel, even though the percentages say kind of otherwise. It's probably a 3 mapper. I'll go for pistol. This will be Inters in. Actually, it probably isn't even. It's probably Tizian versus Gambit. Tizian versus players. So maybe bait is better here and headshots later. Because yeah, sometimes I forget I should maybe explain like these choices better. But bait I want to use against, like if I have, for example, Tizian here, who I expect will be the weakest player against both Gambit and Liquid. I want to use bottom of scorecard against whichever I think is stronger. So I want to use bottom of scorecard against players here. And then bait is another one of these where you are probably going in a lot. For example, he's just getting traded a lot, as it's like this percentage says it all. He's going in and he's dying and he's getting traded. So I'm expecting that he will die some amount against the liquid guys. Liquid guys will get the kill against Tizzy, and then after that they will get traded by big guys a lot of the time. That's kind of my thinking with that. Damn, it's kind of hard to pick the... Like, grenades is probably good. There's a flash guy. This comes later. Because I don't want a 30 bomb, because party astronauts, I think players will just destroy too hard. So there's not enough rounds for 30 bombs a lot of the time. Rambo comes in later. Aces, these are very low ace percentages, so ace is probably elite against something. Clutch. ECN actually with a pretty high clutch percentage. Could go Inters or Exile with clutch as well. I need to start maybe looking at a bit more than just the percentage. I usually make my decisions based on these percentages, but there's a bit more to it, I guess. I think KST Exile makes a good amount of sense against party astronauts, even though NAF has a higher KST rating. I still think Exile's probably gonna be fine here. Okay, that's it for this one. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.